Does Genesis 6:3 tell us that people are limited to a maximum of 120 years for their lifespan? Or does this verse mean something else? Stick around to find out. Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Thus Saith the Lloyd. I'm Gene Lloyd, and I've got a quick biblical interpretation for you today coming out of Genesis 6 chapter 3, and here's what it says. Then the Lord said, My spirit shall not abide in mortals forever, for they are flesh. Their days shall be 120 years. Now, some have proposed that this verse is saying people cannot live beyond the year 120. That's the maximum amount, and that this is the place God established that requirement. I've even seen people post things online like, I'm going to follow God all of my life, and then in parentheses put 120 years. So is that really what it's saying? I don't think that's the case. But before we go further, do me a favor, subscribe, hit all of those buttons for me. Help me get this content into some more people, into some more places, please. So what is this really about? Is this about human lifespans? I'm confident that's not the case for a couple of reasons. First, if we just keep reading, in Genesis, what we see right away is that a lot of people lived beyond this 120-year mark after God said it, after the flood had concluded. People continue to live for a much longer time. In fact, if you count, I counted out at least 12 generations. At least 12 generations of people who busted this 120-year mark. Now, okay, if it was one generation, if it was one person, if it was just a few people in one generation, maybe there would be an argument. Maybe you could say, yeah, that's what this means. But this interpretation really only works if we ignore all of the other surrounding verses. So when we look at this in context, we see three things, okay? First, we see that God makes this statement about 120 years. Second, he talks about how there's all these major evils taking place on the earth. And then third, he says, kind of in a form of judgment, he says he's going to destroy everything that's living on the earth, except for Noah and his family. Of course, we know that story. We all know that story pretty well. So the context here really isn't that God's limiting people's lifespans. He's saying all this evil is driving humanity towards the point of this impending supernatural destruction. Not that people are going to be cut off at this 120 mark, but rather that in 120 years a flood's going to come. So this is the context really, and we need to look at context here, just like everywhere else in Scripture. It's the key to the interpretation. And there's a lot of other corroborating evidence, I think, in the Scriptures. So if you want to see some of that, look in my article that I've written. You can see the link down below, or I have some of the numerical data, and I give you some of the names of people who lived a little bit longer, and that will help you see this a little differently, okay? So follow that link. I think it will be helpful for you, and it'll help connect some of the dots. So, thus saith the Lord, no, your lifespan is not limited to 120 years. We actually have quite a few people we've seen in history and even in recent times who live well into their hundreds, and so it's still a possibility. If you want to live that long, you eat well and you exercise, maybe you can do it. Don't think that you're limited, okay, in that way. So I hope you learned something new. Maybe I shifted your theology a little bit. Let me know what you think in the comments. Don't forget to leave some suggestions for other verses. I really want to hear what you think, and I'll see you next time.